From Europe we will go to France. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced his new government after the election that resulted in a balanced parliament. Among those who got positions in the new cabinet are Bruno Retailleau as Minister of Home Affairs. Then there is Sebastien Lecornu, who was retained as Minister of Defense. Jean-Noel Barrot was promoted to Minister of Foreign Affairs. Didier Migaud was appointed as Minister of Justice, and the position of Finance Minister was held by Antoine Armand. Okay, together we will see how the new Macron government will run and how influential it will be for the world, as well as its effectiveness for the French economy, whose debt is being highlighted by the European Union. Source: NBC News. Moving to America, Joe Biden, who is leading a meeting of Indo-Pacific countries that are members of the Quad Group, Australia, India, Japan, and the United States, discussed the issue of the region, which is inseparable from its tough competitor, namely China. Although it does not have a specific goal for one country, in fact, China remains a separate concern for this Quad Group. Yes, because it can be said that China dominates the economy in the Indo-Pacific region. Biden said, "We believe Xi Jinping is looking to focus on domestic economic challenges and minimize the turbulence in China diplomatic relationships. And he's also looking to buy himself some diplomatic space, in my view, to aggressively pursue China's interest." China continues to behave aggressively, testing us all across the region. It is true in the South China Sea, the East China Sea, South China, South Asia, and the Taiwan Strait. It's true across the scope of our relationship, including on economic and technology issues. At the same time, we believe intense competition requires intense diplomacy. Hopefully the results of the Quad Group meeting can provide positive things that support the progress of each country fairly and not cause new conflicts in the Indo-Pacific region. Source: NBC News. Towards Asia, Indonesian President Joko Widodo responded to the release of New Zealand pilot Philip Mertens, who was held captive by a separatist group in Papua, Indonesia. Through a long negotiation process, with patience not to be repressive, our priority is the safety of the pilot through this long process, said the Indonesian president. For our information, Philip Mertens has been held captive by a Papuan separatist group for 19 months because he landed a small commercial plane in that remote mountainous region. New Zealand Foreign Minister Winston Peters was also happy to hear this news. "We are pleased and relieved to confirm that Philip Mertens is safe and well and has been able to speak to his family. This news must be a great relief for his friends and loved ones. This is very encouraging because previously, Glenn Malcolm Conning was killed by a separatist group, also because he landed his helicopter in the area. This success is also inseparable from the efforts of the Indonesian police, who prioritized an approach through religious leaders, church leaders, traditional leaders, and Egyanus Kagoya's close family to minimize the loss of life and maintain the safety of the pilot. The release of this prisoner is certainly good news, as well as more attention, because regional conflicts can threaten anyone, intentionally or not, who have given a threat signal to those who have established themselves as rebels. Source: NBC News. Back in Europe, with the Russia-Ukraine conflict heating up, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will tell U.S. officials next week that allowing Ukraine to use long-range missiles against targets inside Russia is part of his victory plan. "We have had some decisions in the history of our relationship with Biden, some very interesting and difficult dialogues. He would later change his mind," Zelensky said. In addition to Biden, he will also meet with U.S. presidential candidate Kamala Harris. "I would like to know what she thinks about this victory plan. As I said, it includes not only what Biden needs now, but it also includes the fact that we will have a different situation after November. That is, there will be a new president in the United States. And we need to talk to each of the candidates about their perception of this. And of course he will meet with fellow U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump to ask his opinion, who has previously declined to comment on whether he wants Ukraine to win the war. This certainly got a response from Russian President Vladimir Putin and warned NATO alliance leaders that the move to lift restrictions on Ukraine's use of long-range Western missiles to strike deep into their country would be considered an act of war. Many countries are geographically neighboring, and there are conflicts over territorial control. Of course, civilians and many children are victims. This is what is difficult to understand, why the conflict cannot be stopped on the basis of humanity. Why? Source: CNN News. What do you think?